Hey guys, welcome back to Gingerbread Aquatics with Andrew. Today we're going to be talking about an update for breeding my celestial pearl Danios. So let's get into it. First thing is, if you guys haven't seen that video, make sure you click the card up here to go check out that video, as I'm going to rely upon a lot of information that I've already talked about in that video and assume you guys have already seen that. So again, click the button up there, go to that video, watch it, come back here, and we can talk about the updates that I made to breeding my celestial pearl Danios. So the biggest thing that has changed in all of this is how I am collecting my eggs and the efficiency associated with that. I also just want to note at this time that this isn't the only way you can breed celestial pearl Danios. There are plenty of other ways out there and plenty of other videos that talk about that. But I just want to share with you guys how I am doing my way to have a sustained harvest of eggs that I can then grow up in batches, rather than just having them breed in one area and grow them up in that one area and just being limited in that aspect. So from last time, you can see that I've now elevated the actual breeding container up on a rock. I have had 2 containers in here now, and you see a bunch of white stuff. So I'll take this out, show you guys how I harvest the eggs, and walk you guys through this. So the first thing is the rock allows me to be able to see into this gap between the 2 different containers. So I can, in theory, be able to actually see eggs that are dropped into the top part, and they will fall down in here, and I can see how many eggs I have. And then once I see a lot, I can then harvest them and move them down to one of these other containers that I have down here. So from the last time, this should look pretty familiar. You'll notice that I still have all of my yarn and mop and whatnot, but I no longer have a rock that's in the middle weighing it down. I'll show you guys what is actually holding it all down now. So when I lift this up, you can see that there is another container underneath there. And on the back side of this, you can see that all of the mops are tied into this matrix right here. And what I did was I tied all the mops into this matrix that is siliconed into the bottom of this same tub as the one is below. And that way I can collect all of the eggs that drop through this mesh. So if you're looking at it like this, the eggs will be laid up here. Eggs will then drop down through the bottom into here, and then they'll collect down in here, which makes it a lot easier rather than me having to remove all of this by hand. So all I'm doing to get the eggs out is just swishing this water down in here and moving around the yarn to dislodge any of the eggs of the celestial pearl Danios that are caught in it, because celestial pearl Danios are not adhesive, so they will naturally fall down through the mesh that I have and into the catchment tray below. An important thing to note about the mesh that you end up attaching to the back side of your spawning area is that you want to make sure that the mesh holes here are larger than 1 millimeter to like 1.5 millimeters. So that's about the largest size celestial pearl Danio eggs that are being laid, and some of the ones that are smaller are going to be obviously able to fit through there. So if you make sure that your mesh size is smaller or larger than 1.5 millimeters, but not large enough that an adult could swim through here and get down to all of the eggs that you collected, then you'll be in good shape to make sure you have optimal amount of. Once you've rinsed the actual yarn, you can then remove this top portion and set it aside until you want to put it back into your tank. And now, in theory, we should have all of our eggs collected down in here. And I'm going to bring this up to you guys so you guys can see it. But you will notice all of the eggs that are in there are all spread around the tank, and you'd have to go in there and individually siphon all of them up with what I am now using is a small pipette. But something that I've learned is that if you just take your fingers and create a little vortex inside of the container, all of the eggs will start coming into the middle, and then you can simply take your pipette that you have and go in and suck up all of, I just disrupted all of that. You can suck up all of the eggs in one fell swoop rather than trying to collect them individually around the tank. So let's see. There we go. So you can see now all of those eggs in the center that I can easily come in and pick up with my whatever you're using. For me, it is a pipette. For you, it could be whatever it is that you have available. And at this time, you can also start counting how many eggs you have. So as you are sucking them up, you can count them in, and then as you're dropping them into your container, you can also count them out. So you have a good number as to how many eggs you are expecting to see in terms of fry produced. Now with all the eggs removed, you can see whether or not you had any eggs that you missed the last time. So you'll do this by just picking it up, and you'll be looking for little slivers of fish. So for instance, this guy here, I don't know how well you can see him. You can see him right there in front of where the bubbles are. He was an egg that I missed last time, and that I can come in now and scoop him up along with his other friend here. And I think that is all that oh, there's one more here that I missed. And then I'll go put these into my other container. And I will now rinse and repeat this 2 more times. I found that after 2 times, I'm not really collecting any more eggs or any more fry. And at that point, we can then add the entire assembly back together and put it into the tank. And the one thing is that because you're keeping all of these mops moist and wet, it's not really going to negatively impact the fish fry that are in there or the tiny eggs, because they're still in a wet environment. Now granted, it's not underwater, but these mops are still sopping wet. So we'll move this again, get some of the excess water off. So that last poll that we had of eggs had about 25 in there. And this time around I'm seeing even less than that. So we'll get this vortex going again, and we'll let it settle out. And I see, I think, 3 eggs. So I'll remove those, put those in, and do one more rinse, and then we'll put it back in. All in all, I think we got about 30 eggs from here, which isn't bad at all. And I can just put this now back into the tank and pull it again in a couple of days. I like doing it every couple of days because it means that I'm not disturbing the tank every day. And I found that for me, I've had better egg yields by not disturbing the adults and the spawning group in there and just coming in every 2 or 3 days. And I might miss a couple of eggs that hatch out in that time, but I'm not after huge yields because I already have 160 to 200 fry on my hands, so I really don't need anything else to be in my hands at this moment. So if I miss a couple, it's not the end of the world. If the parents get them again, it's not the end of the world. I found that this is a lot more efficient, that you can remove this every single day, put it back into the tank, take the eggs out, put this back into the tank, and just keep on producing eggs rather than just leaving the eggs to grow out in that tank. You can then use smaller equipment or smaller containers to actually raise up the fry and leave your big spaces for your actual adults that you have. The final thing in this video is just to thank you guys for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you guys subscribe and like. Have a blessed one. See ya.